Welcome to our 100% review for Nobody Wants to Die. We'll be judging the game on 6 categories: story, gameplay, exploration, trophies, dialogue, and graphics. Each of these categories has a weighting that will affect the overall score. The setting for the game is a future New York, where science has created a form of immortality.
Now there's Icaret, a technological miracle that lets us transfer consciousness from one body to another.
You play as James Kara, a detective who has just had his mind placed into a new body and is dealing with the difficulties of this process, such as memory loss and hallucinations. James just simply wants to get back to work and manages to get a case that puts himself in the middle of a grand mystery. The game will take roughly 7 to 8 hours to complete, if you're slow like me, with plenty of compelling twists and turns that will leave you asking questions constantly. Unfortunately, when you get to the end, you may find that many of these questions were never answered, and you'll be left to come up with your own conclusions. In theory, I think this is fine, but it felt like the game left too much to interpretation, which made all of the endings feel unsatisfactory to me. Due to a lack of a strong finish, I give the story an 8. It's a simple game. You walk around, investigate clues with various tools, and solve cases. You won't actually be contributing much to this process though, because the whole experience is fully scripted. You'll just follow instructions and do exactly what the game tells you to do.
Well, I can see you're having a great time.
Right.
The tools at your disposal are an X-ray for seeing through objects, a UV lamp to discover things invisible to the naked eye, and the Reconstructor, which allows you to manipulate time in the scene. This creates some pretty amazing visuals and makes the scenes dynamic and interesting. Once you've got your clues at a crime scene, you'll do a wrap-up mini-game to make sense of things. But just like the investigation part, this is completely guided. It'll tell you when you've messed up, so no critical thinking required whatsoever.
Surely Kara can't buck up something that simple.
It's not necessarily a bad thing that the game is so tightly scripted, but I feel like it's presenting itself as a game where you're actively finding and deducing clues, and that's just simply not the case. For this reason, the gameplay gets a 6. Despite the progression path for the game being completely on rails, there's a lot of things to find and interact with in the levels. These really help to build out the world and can lead to some fun interactions.
James, tell me you're not going to steal a cigar.
Not like he's gonna smoke it.
Great. Now you can add thief to your CV.
You can also explore different dialogue choices and actions throughout the game, some of which will display a message that they've affected the story. This is a bit of an exaggeration though, because it just means that new dialogue choices will be unlocked in future conversations. The only choices of any real consequence that will affect the end of the game all occur in the last 10 minutes or so. I enjoyed trying out different choices, but the fact that these are all superficial when it comes to affecting the overall narrative, it drops the exploration down to an 8. In order to get all of the trophies, you're going to have to play through the game twice or back up and load saves to get it all done in one playthrough. I found that the dialogue choices were varied enough that my second playthrough was a fun experience. So I would definitely recommend giving it another run, but the option is there for those that don't want to replay the game. None of the trophies are obnoxious to acquire, and they can clue you into small side activities you might have missed, so they felt like a great list to me. Trophies get a 10. The dialogue in the game felt really natural to me, and I especially enjoyed the conversations between James and his partner Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. You know why the cops got called to the baseball game? Because somebody stole second base.
Oh, for fuck's sake, James. Dad jokes?
In addition to interacting with other characters, James will also do a fair amount of monologuing in the classic film noir style, which I thought were expertly done.
That's for the brave new world. So immersive you could drown. But of course drowning is forbidden. Blocked like any other exit from paradise.
The writing in VO was really good throughout the game, with the exception of one character known as the Stranger. It wasn't the worst performance, but it feels like they're trying too hard, and I found that to be really grating, especially when compared to the more natural dialogue in VO from James and Sarah.
I warn you that I may disappoint you.
This one character and the fairly major role they play drops the score on dialogue to an 8. This game is absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. The environments are detailed and interesting, the vistas in the city are breathtaking, and the FX from rain droplets hitting the hood of your car to massive explosions all look fantastic. Even the very limited facial animations in the game look great. It's a solid 10. With a little bit of math, we arrive at an overall score for Nobody Wants to Die of 79.